My name is Cherrah Johnson, and I'm a member of the Conduit.
What is your business name?
One of my businesses, I have like seven. Bow Studios is my business, and while I was here in Conduit the last 2 years, I launched bow workshops.
Tell us more about bow workshops.
Well, thank you for asking. Everyone in my life is sick of hearing about it, so one of the reasons I love to be a Conduit is because we are all entrepreneurs and we're all equally obsessed with each other's work, that it's okay to talk about your projects incessantly. So thank you for asking, Amy.
You're welcome. How long have you been a member of the Conduit?
I've been a member of the Conduit since January 2024, and I joined very early in the year as part of a deliberate intention to scale my business and to put myself in an environment where I was going to be challenged and have to learn some tough lessons, because I knew that was what I needed to do to scale this business that I was so passionate about.
Tell us about your unique story and any ways that the Conduit has come alongside you during that journey.
Okay, so I have a unique story, which is that after I graduated from UCF with a degree in advertising and PR, I worked in advertising and promotional products and specialties and product design for about 20 years while I raised kids, and also launched my jewelry business around that time. So for all those years while my kiddos were going to school here in Central Florida, I was sneaking off on Wednesdays about once a month and going up to do fine art shows in my RV or with a truck and trailer. And so I was living this simultaneous thing between being a corporate employee and a soccer mom, but then for 4 or 5 days a month I could sneak off and be this, be myself, be an artist. And because I was able to figure out how to make money doing that, I've been able to sustain it for about 25 years. And it feels like someone gave me a real secret when I was young, which was to develop and build on the things that I was good at. And that has served me really well at this age. So the unique story is I've driven my RV 200,000 miles up and down the East Coast, from Orlando up to as far as Vermont for shows, over to Pittsburgh, Michigan, Colorado, down to New Mexico. And in all that time, I learned that I had to really be able to rely on myself, because I'm alone almost all the time, and setting up 30-foot art show booths by myself, sometimes in the middle of the night if I got there too late. And oftentimes at these particular events, we would have 8 or 10,000 people in line at 8 o'clock in the morning, because it was a big franchise of vintage markets. So they handled all the promotion, and we didn't have to handle any local marketing. We just showed up and there was huge crowds. So being both a marketer, a creator, a designer, a merchandiser, I knew that this was a incredible pairing where I could make, sell, and have someone else promote me. And I could also then come back, be back in my regular life by Monday morning, and be a parent, which was my primary concern all these years. Not anymore, because they're adults now.
That's so cute.
I mean,
It's so cute.
all right, I'll just say the last thing is that while I was here in Conduit, I took what I learned on the road, which was that there was so much camaraderie with the women I was around. And I would have sometimes 70 or 80 people in my booth at the same time, and they're trying on clothes and throwing on necklaces, and they're complimenting each other, and they're talking about their bodies, and I'm hearing them talk about their own reflections about their bodies. And what it taught me was that, one, not only are people incredibly cruel about their own self-image, but secondly, that people can really lift each other up with just a comment. I saw hundreds of times that a woman would be trying on a dress and being very self-critical, and I look fat, my arms are fat, and I would hear a stranger to her, mutter across, "You look amazing, girl, you look amazing, oh, that's your color." And when you can see the power of words on people, especially women, and especially about our bodies and about our clothing and how we look, because we are so conditioned to think that that's where our value is, that I realized there was some real power in spending my life and spending my energy, my passion around amplifying these spaces where women are around each other and we give them reasons to be good to each other and have conversations. From all that, I came up with a concept called bow workshops, which was a way to remove the fast fashion element from this kind of gathering because it got more frustrating to me to have to be importing clothing and throwing away all this plastic. And I mean, quite honestly, I like to thrift for clothes, so it's more aligned with my values to take myself out of the boutique clothing part of it. So now our spaces, our Bow Downtown spaces, are all secondhand, and these are pieces that I find that are either authentically vintage or just cool. So back to Bow Workshops, which is the new concept that I launched here in Conduit. I came here in January, and I'd spent several years figuring out exactly what this model needed to look like. And all those hours driving on the road, I knew that it had to have certain elements. These workshops had to be portable. They had to be modular. There had to be a way that an artist could plan and have a whole series of workshops to create revenue for themselves. But it had to be simple and easy and almost formulaic, because artists are not great at figuring it out every time, the same way. We will invent a different workshop every time you give it to us. And that doesn't work for entrepreneurship. You have to know, I have X containers of beads, I have X containers of elastic, I have, welcome signs, water bottles, all the logistics. So all this to say, Bow Workshops was launched here in Conduit, based on all of that inspiration, and because I was looking for a place where I knew that if I fell apart in this process, which I learned often happens in entrepreneurship, you become so obsessed with what you're trying to build. I knew that if I was in an environment like this and I was intentionally cooperating with these other people, that we would be there for each other as we scale our businesses. And that's exactly what happened, because over the course of the first year, and now we're in about 20 months, there are many weekends that we are here, some of the same dozen or 24 people, working and plugging away on laptops and checking in, and what happened with this, how about that pitch. It's incredibly supportive, it's incredibly cooperative, and because this space has some vetting to join it, I think that there's a level of sincerity that most people here have when we're in the space, which is we're all here working, but we're also here because we do sincerely want to come alongside each other and not just be available when things are good and when our businesses are thriving, but to be there when the struggles of entrepreneurship inevitably hit all of us, which is sleeping issues and food and dieting issues and finance and priorities and work-life balance. These are all things that your friends on the internet don't know about you, and your family doesn't know about you because they don't see you every day, all day. That was a long explanation.
It was beautiful how it was authentically
Just
you.
keep me talking. Okay. So I love Conduit. Bow Workshops was launched here. It's amazing. There's like 5 other things that we've launched here in the last 6 months now, so they're probably gonna have to bury me. No, seriously.
That's great.
Okay.
That's great. Okay. You've answered a couple, but one more question, maybe 2. Tell us about the connections you have made while being here that have continued to pour into your journey.
Okay. So some of the connections I've made here in this space are unexpected, which is that they have a big age gap. I'm almost 50 years old, and I identify as being Gen X, and so a lot of the people here in this tech incubator are in their late 20s and early 30s, and most of them are guys. So it's a very unlikely mix of like this mentorship thing where they are equally interested in a lot of the things I'm interested in, and so we're able to come alongside each other and have a lot of conversations about AI, about large language models, about business strategy, about sales, and we're really, even though we are 20 years apart, we have a lot of the same same things in common, a lot. So that's one way I've come alongside friends here, is that spanning or reaching past the age gap. And additionally, like there's been a whole physical component of everyone being here at the same time. So there's times when I show up and people come out and help me unload stuff out of my car. There's been times when we have workshops here when the people that I'm friends with are sitting and working, and it's maybe 6 o'clock at night, and they see that I'm starting to get a crowd of people coming in to set up for the workshops or to join us. And I've seen them get up and help move chairs and, hey Cherrah, can I go help unpack your cheese cubes? I think what this place feels like is a combination of a study hall where it's like all the really earnest kids who want to get good grades and like join everything and volunteer. That's the vibe. And it's a combination of a study hall and a community center, a community building, and maybe even a little bit of a place of worship. Whatever you choose to worship.
And then the last question is, what are you passionate about?
Everything.
But I feel like you kind of answered that earlier, so unless there's anything else you would like to add.
I will say a specific statement, which is I'm passionate about a lot of things because I have been given access through my entire life to the arts. And because I've been given access to this conduit of my own ideas, I've been able to develop a lot of hobbies and interests and ways that I create that have, I think, helped me stay on track as a human being and really find happiness through my life, because I've been able to process and deal with things as it comes through me through art and through being able to find a voice and a way to express when things are good and when things are bad. So that's what I'm passionate about, is amplifying to other people that you're allowed to use your big voice and you're allowed to let your big ideas come out, and you don't have to hide it under a bucket. You don't have to be too small for people. You can be exactly who you are. And also I really want passionately to bring women around common tables together around arts and crafts, because there's a level to which people let their guard down, and as we share common materials, and that's a key component, is the sharing of resources. And in our culture right now, we are taught to kind of segment ourselves off, and everyone has their own house and their own stuff and their own lawnmower and their own stuff. But really, we're meant to live more tribally, where we're sharing things, because there's a lot of power in not only sharing things, but knowing that you have something that your neighbor needs. And so around these common tables, we've simplified it into just bow workshops, which is working on projects, making jewelry, using leather, using gems, coins, things like that. And as people share materials, they share ideas, and conversation flows. And what happens every time, and this is why I love this, is that it's replicatable. I've been able to figure out that we can replicate it. It doesn't matter if 2 people show up for the workshop or 30, or sometimes even just 1 person will show up. And every single time there's some kind of unbelievable conversation that blossoms in the space. There has never ever been a time through over 100 workshops where people just sat quietly. Someone's talking about their life, someone's talking about their struggles, someone's talking about their triumphs, someone's sharing ideas about this. And it's almost like when 15, 20 minutes into it, when the people see that I'm going to start talking and I'm going to behave like this, they all let their guards down, because there's some permission in another person being vulnerable. And so that's part of what I think we can replicate with this business model, is by leading with some authenticity and sharing with people that it's okay to have ideas and do things wrong, and even just to take time for yourself to create. You don't always have to be productive. That really was a TED Talk.